Welcome back into another episode of Where the Game Lives On, the official podcast of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. I'm your host, Noah Tucker, coming to you from our podcast studio here in Springfield, Missouri, in the middle of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame Museum, 3861 East Stan Musial Drive. Coming at you with a solo special episode today. Been a very, very busy time for us here at the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. We've got lots of Hall of Fame stuff going on, lots of Hall of Fame news, also a lot of Price Cutter Charity Championship news that's been going on. We're going to break that all down for you today. After that, we're also going to touch up on some NFL takeaways from this past week and take a look at the World Series preview for you. I mentioned it's been a busy time for the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. We were in Columbia this past weekend for an enshrinement of our 2024 class. A lot of big names, a lot of deserving athletes and coaches, as well as teams that were inducted this past weekend. It was headlined by the former Mizzou quarterback Chase Daniel, who obviously engineered Mizzou to a number one overall national ranking there back in 2007. Followed that up with a very lengthy NFL career as primarily an NFL backup. He was not the only one, though. We also had longtime ESPN Sports Center host John Anderson, who, if you don't know, is a Mizzou grad, also was a Mizzou student athlete, then, of course, goes on to ESPN and is now actually back in Columbia and teaching in the J School there on Columbia's campus at Mizzou. Plenty of other people, lots and lots of other deserving inductees that we honored that day. Wouldn't have time in this episode to mention them all, but check out our socials. Got a lot of good media that's been coming out about that enshrinement this past weekend. Definitely a very exciting day for a lot of people, and certainly always is for us as well. Not even to mention that, we've always got stuff going on. Our team was up in St. Louis on Tuesday. We had a golf classic there as well, and the show continues to roll, right? More to come with the Hall of Fame here even this year. And stay tuned to our socials and also here on Where the Game Lives On to hear all the latest things about what's happening next with the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Those of you who listen regularly know about a golf tournament that we help manage in the summertime, the Price Cutter Charity Championship. Big news from them and the Korn Ferry Tour on Tuesday of this week. The 2025 schedule was released for the Korn Ferry Tour, and yes, they are returning to Springfield July 17th through the 20th, 2025 at Highland Springs Country Club. The show continues for the Price Cutter Charity Championship, which is now presented by Highland Dairy Foods. Also, they're announced on Tuesday that the Price Cutter Charity Championship will have a new presenting sponsor for the 2025 year. We will get some comments from tournament director Byron Shive when he returns to the podcast, hopefully next week, and break that down a little bit more for you. That's what's going on around here with us at the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Always things happening, always things taking place, but similarly, there's always stuff going on across the sports world. We've got the winter sports that have returned, basketball starting. Hockey's already kind of getting into swing, right? And we're starting to get into the thick of the NFL season. A lot of interesting takeaways from this past week. We're going to stick primarily with the Chiefs, who went out to the West Coast for a Super Bowl rematch of this last year against the San Francisco 49ers. It was definitely an interesting win for the Chiefs, but a win nonetheless. Now the sole team in the NFL who is still undefeated. I think it's the first time Mahomes is, 6-0, 7-0. They're either 6 or 7-0. I think it's the first time in Patrick Mahomes' career that he's had that good of an undefeated start in a season. And interestingly enough, I think he's got more interceptions than he does touchdowns. His QBR probably is wavered a little bit than what we historically know it. Yet the Chiefs are still off to one of the best starts they've had in their modern era. That leads me into the takeaways from the game this past weekend, which is defense and running the ball were crucial for the Chiefs and are going to continue to be going forward. they looked very sharp. They looked, I take that back. They honestly, in a lot of ways, the Chiefs looked kind of sloppy. But they were able to control clock and have the defense step up and make plays at very key moments. The defense has looked solid all year. I'm more so impressed with the running game, the development of the running game. Kareem Hunt, was an acquisition here recently, and obviously the rookie Carson Steele is contributing to that a little bit as well. But I think that it's very, very interesting and probably should put the league on notice that Mahomes hasn't been his best, and yet the Chiefs are still undefeated. They're playing a good team who's off to a slow start in San Francisco, but go out there on the road and are able to get kind of a gritty, not pretty win, right? I think the key factor in my book is simply Andy Reid. I think when you're looking at all these things I'm mentioning, defense, the run game, Mahomes' play, production from Travis Kelce, injuries to receivers, any of those things, I genuinely think that one of the biggest difference makers is Andy Reid and the mastermind that he is. He is a tactician, a guy who knows scheme through and through, draws up amazing plays, game plans that I think are executed well. And it's got the Chiefs in a really, really good position sitting here kind of at the midway point of the season. That's my takeaway. That's my biggest takeaway from the Chiefs right now. They've got things to figure out, but it's hard to complain a whole lot when you're winning games. Mahomes is still Mahomes. He still has that magic. He's still making, just insane plays and whatnot. And I have no doubt that he'll turn it on when the time calls for it. But with Andy Reid at the helm and his ability to, just kind of pull strings, for lack of better terms, from a coaching standpoint and a game plan standpoint, it's definitely an X factor for them going forward. And regardless of, the ups and downs that the Chiefs are going to continue to face through the season, it's going to take other opponents' best effort in order to get wins against them on any given Sunday. I mentioned the magical, plays that Mahomes is still pulling off, and there was one that was actually a point of controversy, I guess you could say, following the win on Sunday. Mahomes did some damage with his legs. My favorite part was probably the goal line truck stick, right, for the touchdown run. But he had a career-long run of like 33 yards or something like that, where it appeared like he was scrambling towards the first down marker, approaching the sideline, kind of let up a little bit as if to go out of bounds, and kind of hit a hesitation and then darted up the sideline as he saw space. Social media definitely had a frenzy with it. Compared it to the fake slide that we saw from Kenny Pickett his final year at Pitt. I don't know. It was an interesting play. I'm not sure entirely what to make of it. There's a lot of people in the camp of this play is exactly why quarterbacks should be able to get absolutely wrecked anytime they get out of the pocket and decide to scramble. Obviously, we've seen a regression from that in recent years with the rule implementations from the NFL to protect quarterbacks. But a lot of people see this play as being an example of why, no, they need to be treated just like a running back, just like a wide receiver when they decide to take off and run. I can vouch for that, but I don't entirely agree, right? It did look like he was letting up, but at the same time, he wasn't going out of bounds. He didn't go out of bounds, right? You can slow down upon approach of a tackle and ensure that he goes out of bounds instead of running past him and then him just, hesitating and going. If somebody had been going full speed on that play with a good pursuit angle and he had let up, then you could have absolutely, put a lick on him. But it seemed like just as much as you could change the rules, you've got to kind of adjust your mindsets as a defender. Clearly they understand, defenses do, that you can't do certain things to a quarterback. You can't fall on top of them with your body weight. You can't hit them as they're going out of bounds. You have to give them space to slide. Now, does that put a defender in a pretty tough position? Certainly, right? It's a full speed flying around game, and the NFL level is insanely fast in terms of the pace at which it is played. So yeah, it has been hard on defenders, I think. So it creates a gray area, right? But okay, then Mahomes decides to scramble at the goal line, and you have a free shot at him. And what happens? You get trucked. I don't know who that cat was, the DB with San Francisco, but I'd probably retire if I got ran over, by a quarterback like that. That's oof. But will something happen? Will something change? No, do not think so. Absolutely not. The quarterback is the number one position in football. Franchises look to build their organization around a quarterback. The NFL knows that the most popular players are quarterbacks. They're going to protect quarterbacks at all costs. And if Patrick Mahomes gets out of the pocket and makes a magical play for 30-something yards, they're foaming at the mouth, right? They're not sitting there saying like, oh, well, we've got to do something about this. No, it's an electrifying play. And the NFL is not going to sit there and say, well, it's not fair to our defenders. They don't care. There's tons of defense in the NFL. There is tons of defense, right? They want to see electric plays. They want to see, the deep balls. They want to see the jukes and leaving people in the dust. And they want to see big hits. Now, not on quarterbacks, no. And also not initiated with helmet-to-helmet contact. You say, well, how do you go about that then? I don't disagree with you. That's just the way the game's going. It's an offensive league. People that watch Sunday Ticket, they're not flipping to the game that's, 10-7 in the fourth quarter. They like the games where people score a lot. It's that simple, right? So it doesn't matter. It would take something drastic, something extremely drastic for the NFL to stop its current trend of rule changes that benefit the offense. Well, it wouldn't be a solo special episode if we didn't talk about baseball, and we're kind of coming down to the end here. We've got our World Series matchup set between, yes, the marketing people are having a frenzy, right? The New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers, coast against coast, powerhouse against powerhouse, call it what you want. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Sure. Yeah, they're probably the two best teams. Do you want to see the two best teams competing for a World Series? Yeah, why not, right? I don't know. I just think that you look at where the game of baseball is right now, and in a sense, it's kind of a broken league. I saw a breakdown of the payrolls of each team that was in the championship series, and you had, of course, the Yankees and the Mets right there at the top, looking at like 340 mil, 302 mil. And then you had the Dodgers, who this year their payroll was sitting at 280 something mil, close to 290 million. And then, here's the Cleveland Guardians. What is this? $106 million. Yeah. So you got over 3.5 mil, over 3 mil, close to 3 mil. And then you've got $106 million from the Cleveland Guardians. So if you're asking me who I was rooting for, well, my tone should make it pretty obvious. I was rooting for the team that didn't just, pay their way to victory. It's just kind of where baseball is at right now, It makes you question a lot of things about the game. Sure, it's great. We're going to get to see two really, really good teams go at it in the World Series. But there is a bigger gap in, top tier teams, lower tier teams in the MLB than any other league out there. I mean, you get the big market teams, the high dollar teams that go get, the blockbuster free agents like Shohei Ohtani. And then, some teams have to rely on scouting and developing players and trying to put all the right pieces together. It's just it's just the nature of the game right now, and it's tough, I think, for not only certain organizations but just viewers in general. Sure, people hate the Yankees because they're good. People hate the Dodgers because they're good. I'm probably guilty of that too. I'll probably still watch the World Series. I'm sure it'll be good. I'm sure it'll be entertaining ball. But what do you want? You want a team with 30 teams? You want a league, with 30 teams? You want a league with, 5 or 6 teams that have a legit shot, and then the rest of them are just, I don't know, playing for a paycheck, basically. Anyway, I got the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are going to be able to do it. Pitching, offense, obviously the Yankees can score runs. I just like the group they've got out there in LA. I think that that group is really solid, and they've got Shohei, and they've got Mookie and Freddie Freeman, and now you mix in Tommy Edman and several other guys. Kike Hernandez has stepped up a lot in the postseason. They've just got a lot of momentum, the kind of momentum that you see from teams that end up, bringing home a World Series title. Well, if you've made it this far in the episode, as always, thank you for joining us. New episodes of Where the Game Lives On every Wednesday, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Some exciting news. We're working on some guests that are going to be coming in to join us here in the next few months. Also, a lot of stuff going on with the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. Follow us across our social media channels. We're on pretty much everything: Instagram, Twitter, or X, Facebook, TikTok. Just keep up with, things from inductees, renovations that we're going to get underway here soon. It's an exciting time for us, and we appreciate you joining us. Be sure to leave us a review. Let us know how we're doing. Share it with a friend, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of Where the Game Lives On.